bleed green? Are you an ultimate Eagles football fan? Well, you're in the right place. Ready? This is Birds 365, hosted by the new Mac and Mac, Jody McDonald and John McMullen.
Here we go!
Who collectively have covered and talked about more than 50 plus years of Eagles football. Kick off your day with Birds 365. You'll get debate.
We love to argue.
You'll get the real story from inside the locker room. And you'll hear from some of the great football minds from around the region. You're about to become an Eagles insider. Get in the game. Join Jody Mack and Johnny Mack and join the football community that flocks to Birds 365. Birds 365 starts right now.
Welcome to the NFL. Let's go! Let's go! Go! It is a joint practice Thursday here on Birds 365. You got your Mac and Mac guys, McMullen and McDonald, with matching black shirts today. I grab a shirt every day, and I make sure that it's clean. That's the most important thing. But every once in a while, I forget that we're going to be doing this streaming thing, and I come on with too bright a shirt.
Yeah.
Jody, you're just blowing up. All right, fine. I got to run back up. I said, I'm not even going to take a chance. Give me my first black T-shirt.
That's what I always go dark. I don't even mess with anything else at this point. I tried white. I tried a white shirt because JAKIB Media sent me the white polo shirt. So I put that on one day.
That's nice. Yeah, I never got that.
Well, you gotta lobby for that, Jody. You should have that. But I'm like,
I didn't lobby. I didn't even know it existed.
So, well, I show up at training camp with JAKIB Media gear.
Nice.
But it showed up. I think Tone and I did a football 24/7. I think it showed up okay. But then there are other days it doesn't show up. So I can't figure it out. So I don't mess with it.
So now I'm winded because I had to run up 2 flights of stairs to get myself a black T-shirt to be able to do Birds 365 today. All right, Johnny Mac, we got plenty to do over the next 2 hours, including 2 good guests, 2 very good Eagle Beat guys. Jeff Mosher and Bob Grotz are both going to jump aboard with us today. But I want to start in a different vein, something that we don't usually do here on Birds 365, because I'm prepping for the show. I'm writing down some notes, stuff I want to talk about. And I had already written one thing down, and then I read a fun column from our buddy Seamus McClancy from over at Philly Voice. And he touched on something that I realized I don't know that we've ever touched on in a year and change here on Birds 365. He was doing a general recap of covering the entire Eagles training camp and the things you do and the way you go about it and the stuff that you see and the stuff you have to report on. And he said, and this is a very likable Philadelphia Eagles team. And I had not even gone down that mental road to give my evaluation of whether this is a likable team or not. And don't kid yourself, it changes over the course of a given season. I would suggest that in 2017, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, when they were coming out of training camp, I don't know if you would have called them a likable team. Let's start there. You were here. You were covering that team. Carson Wentz's second season, Doug Peterson's second season, had an okay at best first year with both of those guys in key positions. All the guys who were here, some veterans who are still here, key contributors to this team. Do you think, if you can remember, do you think that Eagles eventual Super Bowl championship team was considered a likable team before that year's season started?
I think Doug was considered likable. Doug's a good guy. But I think the quarterback was always a little bit aloof. See, I think likable is about, very few people. like Brandon Graham is tremendously likable. He was tremendously likable then. He's tremendously likable now. He'll be tremendously likable when he retires. He's just a people person, right? So, the head coach is very likable. The defensive coordinator, he's an old school gruff guy, Jim Schwartz. The offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, very nice man, but not very outgoing.
Did people even know who Frank Reich was in Philadelphia before they won the Super Bowl?
Yeah, they knew because he almost got fired, Jeffrey Lurie.
But people didn't even know that.
Yeah, well, they should.
That kind of came out after the fact.
It came out, I think, during the season, but
Okay.
I think you look at the headliners, and so one of the things, I like Doug a lot. I'm upfront about that. I think he's a good coach. He won a Super Bowl. He deserved an opportunity to stay. And so I disagreed with the firing at the time. And Nick Sirianni comes on board. Nobody knew anything about Nick Sirianni. I didn't know anything. Nobody knew. I don't think Mrs. Sirianni knew that all that much about Nick Sirianni. Was off the radar, out of left field. But he's tremendously likable. I mean, he goes out of his way. He's closer to Brandon Graham than the average likable person. He's going around the media tent giving fist bumps to every reporter there, even people he doesn't know. Jonathan Gannon, tremendously likable person.
Does he come off like that, though?
Maybe
you
not.
You get to know him a little bit with the cameras off. I'm talking about
maybe not in front of the camera.
Level of likability, not John McMullen's level of likability. I'm asking you to put your own personal feelings aside and judge the way that this team is judged by the Eagle fan base.
Oh, the fan base, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, he doesn't come across as likable on camera as off. Same thing with Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen's the nicest guy in the world off camera. On camera, he's very guarded and very a little bit better this year because he's the play caller, so he feels he has a little bit more autonomy to speak about things. But off camera, he's just the nicest guy in the world. On camera, he's very guarded. So, yeah, from the fans' perspective, they certainly get it from Sirianni. They certainly get it from Graham. They certainly get it from the quarterback. The quarterback's very likable, even though he's guarded in front of the microphone, but everybody tells him. So it's kind of, I don't know. They probably don't get to see it, but I think they would say Jalen Hurts is more likable than Carson Wentz, but that might be because of the timing, because on camera, he doesn't come across more likable. He probably comes across, in fact, you can tell me better, Jody. I would say he comes across even more guarded than Carson Wentz came across. I mean, Jalen doesn't say anything. I mean, Jalen is a flat line, just steady as she goes. So I guess that's kind of a difficult question for me to answer. From my perspective, it's a very likable group. And there's always, Derek Barnett's not likable. He doesn't like talking to us. So when you get 90 people together, not everybody's going to be ebullient Brandon Graham.
Right.
You're going to have but the main parts of it, they're all tremendously likable people. But I don't know if that comes across on camera. I know it comes across with Nick Sirianni.
Right. The main guys, the needle movers, are always going to be the head coach and the quarterback. And then you proceed down the line, your star players, your coordinators. They're not going to move the needle as much as the head coach and the quarterback are. Again, I'm not an Eagles reporter like you are. You're there every day. You get a chance to see these guys. Sometimes camera off, sometimes camera on, mic in front of their face, mic off the front of their face. I give Jalen a little bit more in the personality column, I guess, than you would. Carson Wentz, from day one to me, was always boring. Now, there's a difference, slight difference, but a little difference between buttoned up and boring. I think that Jalen Hurts is buttoned up. I thought Carson Wentz was buttoned up and boring. I don't think Jalen is as boring as Carson Wentz. He's not going to wow you with his personality in front of the camera. And hasn't in a year and change. Don't know if that will ever change, but I'll give him more in the personality column than I work Carson Wentz. And then you get everybody else and all the other personalities. And you're right. Brandon Graham is kind of the leader of the clubhouse, has been. Shoot, you go back to that Super Bowl team and say he was that then, and he's certainly that now this year with his comeback.
And I should throw Jason Kelsey in there as well. Different way than Brandon, but very obviously
right.
very likable.
Do you think Jason Kelsey has changed since the Super Bowl winning team?
No, same
Nor
guy.
do I. So if Jason Kelsey is one of the best personalities we've had in Philadelphia sports in 5 years, 10 years, 6 years. So you go back 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. I'll put him with anybody else. Any other sport. Forget about the Eagles. Any other individual personality in Philadelphia in sports, I'll put Jason Kelsey up against any of them. But I would say Jason Kelsey's Jason Kelsey. He was what he was the day he showed up, and he's still the same thing today, only he's got a Super Bowl ring and a picture and a mummer's outfit that no one will ever forget thereafter. So let's dig a little bit deeper to the A.J. Browns, to the, well, see, here's a guy. And I had the chance to actually interact with these guys up close and personal for 10, 15 minutes. Jordan Davis came into our tent, our RV where we did the show for WIP, me and Joe DeCamera the other day. And we got a chance to talk to him for 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes before the interview started. And then after the interview was over and done with, chock full of personality. Landon Dickerson came in before Jordan did, and couldn't be a nicer guy himself. And he was a pretty good interview as well. So
now that surprises me. That surprises me. Jordan Davis, yeah, I agree. Landon is very Alabama trained, I like to call it, when it comes to
you're going to blame statement for this, huh? The reason that Hurts is buttoned up. And
I mean, he gives Landon.
It's an Alabama thing, huh?
Landon gives us nothing.
He's
so if you got stuff out of Landon, Godspeed. You guys are doing a good job. Now it's different when you're in a one-on-one, or in that case, 3-man environment versus 80 microphones stuck in his face.
That's true too.
When he gets on the podium, he's Alabama trained, as I like to call it. And that's not a bad thing, by the way. That's a good thing.
It keeps you from getting in trouble. That's for damn sure. All right. So the bottom line is John McMullen, Eagle beat reporter, good at being able to diverse his own personal feelings with that of the entire
I know what
Eagle Nation.
Bob Grotz is going to say when he jumps
Grotz is Mr. Optimism, happy and peppy and bursting with love. Of course, Grotz is going to say they're a likable team. But I need you first. Grotz is next. John McMullen, before the season starts, is this Eagles team a likable team?
I'm going to say, well, number one, I'm going to say, who cares if they're likable? Number two, sometimes you need some edge to be a really great team. Sometimes you need some of those nasty guys to be a really great team. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. Are they likable? To me, Nick Sirianni's extremely likable. Everybody knows I like Jonathan Gannon, even though he shut me down when you were there, Jody. I like Shane Steichen probably more than both of them, which people probably don't know. So to me, they're very likable, but it doesn't matter. Give me a unlikable, and I don't know because I didn't cover him, but if you have somebody like Ray Lewis who's gnarly, give me that guy. I don't care if they're likable, but the major guys, they're generally all nice people.
I understand, and I agree with your sentiment about you got to mix in some nasty guys.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're too likable a team, chances are you're not going to be a good enough team. And don't kid yourself, the entire likability will change of this team.
Yeah.
With the wins and the losses. If they're 12-5, they're going to be really likable. If they're 5-12, doesn't matter how nice they are, people are going to hate them, and they're going to say they're not likable at all. Why? Because they lose on Sundays. So I readily admit this is all decided by the wins and the losses at the end of the year, but you should be able to get a clean slate when you start a new season, and I would say this is a likable Eagles team. Now we'll see what they do on Sundays for the upcoming year. All right, up next is one of the most likable guys on the planet. It's not even close. He is at the top of the list of everybody's likability roster. That would be Bob Grotz, Delaware's own, next here on Birds 365.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
The glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, this, and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rip...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Got your Mega Mac guys here on Birds 365, and we are joined by this happy gentleman next. Don't know if he's in the car heading to Berea, Ohio, but we'll find out where he is going.
Yeah.
And his Eagle Insights for us. Always good when we get on from the Delco Times. Bob Grotz. Where are you off to, Mr. Grotz?
I'm trying to elude the police right now. So maybe we can get right into this.
That's why the hammer, Bob Grotz.
Yeah.
Look at that nickname there.
There's only 2 or 3 cars right now. Yeah.
Are we getting breakfast or are we out to Berea, Ohio?
No, I just got myself a cup of coffee. I had something to do from 7 to 8, believe it or not. And wow, I'm just feeling old. Feeling real old.
Join the club, big man.
I don't know how you guys do it, man. 5:30 every morning. Whoa.
It's tough. It's tough. It's a grind, Bob. But you're the hammer. Delaware's own. Delaware County's own.
I am the hammer. I am the hammer.
All right, who you bringing the hammer down on today? Nick Sirianni's out on Berea, Ohio with his 85 mates to do a joint practice with the Browns. Will the Eagles bring the hammer today against the Browns because they haven't had a chance to really hit anybody? Oh, they hit the Jets a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a fight or two, Jody. I think there'll be a fight or two. Yeah, I think they'll be aggressive. Yeah, yeah. And
it's going to be Andre Dillard. Is it going to be the from the Fighting City of Philadelphia? 6'6", 320-pound Andre Dillard.
Yeah, I hope it's not Dillard. Yeah, I hope it's not him, because then you're talking an L right there. So you mean Jordan Davis?
Yeah, Jordan. Well, Jordan Mailata, Jordan Davis. Those are the first guys off the bus in Berea.
Yeah, there's going to be some tussles. There'll be some tussles. And I heard you guys asking each other if this is a likable team. This is a lovable team.
Ooh.
How could you not love this team?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought you're. I mean,
look at how positive.
You subscribe to the nasty theory. You need some nasty players to win in this league.
Oh yeah,
nasty players. Nasty.
Look at the Saints. That team had no business winning a Super Bowl, but look what they had to do to get there. Bounty Gate and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Trying
to take out Brett Favre. How old was Brett Favre? By the way, that's one of the underreported stories.
Yeah, they got history. Down and dirty.
Oh my! They attacked. They should have been arrested for what they did to Brett Favre in that game.
What was it? And shame on me, I forget the defensive coordinator's name. It was the
Greg
Williams. Is he in the NFL this year?
I don't believe so.
He could be a consultant. He could be a consultant somewhere. Yeah, but yeah. But hey,
Greg took a big hit for that, but he was back. He was back in the league, and
he was. But I think he's out this year.
Yeah, I think but Greg's, I don't know, 65, 60. I think part of it is age. Yeah, he's out of the league though. Just looking it up.
You can't have choir boys, Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah, you can't have choir boys, especially playing defense. So absolutely. I don't know if lovable, as Bob Grotz would say, the lovable Bob Grotz. I don't know if that's a good thing.
Oh, it's how could you not love this team though? I mean, you got the quarterback up there that he takes responsibility for everything. He doesn't say a whole lot, but he takes responsibility for everything. He's built these bonds with already with AJ Brown. Everybody did. The offensive lineman, you saw Jordan Mailata run over there, first guy over there. I mean, this team wants to win for him, so you can't understate that. But they got some holes, but I think they'll be able to throw the ball this year, which is going to be, a two-dimensional team is always more difficult to beat than a team that just runs the ball.
All right, putting likability aside, how do you like what you've seen with Jalen Hurts with the football in his hands? Practice, we know how well he did the one series against the Jets. On the football side of it, the more important side of it, where do you think this quarterback is at right now?
Well, I think if he realizes that all he has to do is get the ball in the hands of those playmakers, he'll be fine. And some days he does that, and other days he doesn't. It was kind of funny because the second, I don't know if it was you, John, who I was standing next to, the second I said, there's no denying that Jalen Hurts has had a great camp, he threw the worst pass I've ever seen. It's like, maybe it was Martin Frank, yeah. But I mean, that's what you get. I mean, that's who he is.
Yeah.
He's just got to get the ball.
Still a little bit too inconsistent. Yeah, I'm interested. You say he's had a good camp. Now, Jimmy Kempski put out today on Twitter, our buddy. So there's 13 days, counting the preseason games. So 12 practices, one preseason game, which obviously Jalen was very good in the preseason game. He had him up 7 times, sort of nondescript 3 times, and down 3 times.
Whoa, sorry about that, guys.
We're getting Bob back.
And down 3 times?
Yeah, I'm a tougher grader than that, man. I was trying to go through my notes before the show. Now, I agree with the 3 bad practices, but to me, the good ones are more nondescript ones. So I think there were probably 3 and then 7 nondescript ones. I mean, he had about 3 good practices, 3 bad ones, and then everything else was kind of in between. Am I too tough?
He's done more good than he's done
All right.
wrong.
See,
and
I'm
bad.
too tough.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
too tough, Joe.
He has, and you know, and training camp too. I mean, let's be honest about these practices. They do try stuff that you don't.
Well,
that's that you don't take
context
in the regular season, right? Exactly. But so I'm not sure that is part of the context for some of these graders. You know, especially when they go counting the completions and the interceptions.
Well, there are 2 ways to take that, Bob. Like practice 1 was all red zone. So they had a bunch of touchdowns and everybody was like, what a great practice. And then practice 12, they did a lot of red zone and they had a lot of touchdowns. And everybody was like, oh, what a great practice. But that's where the context helps you because you're always in the red zone. So you're going to have more touchdowns. And it correlates in people's mind to, oh, we saw a bunch of touchdowns. So I think it works kind of both ways.
I just kind of look at the way, you know, what's his responsibility out there. And he's got to try some things. He's also got to get that ball to his receivers. And if he does those 2 things, he's had a good camp. And I think he has. I can't.
Boy, I'm less optimistic than Bob Grotz. How about that? That's a bad sign.
John, you better look in the mirror, big guy.
If that's the case,
you got to check yourself, buddy.
Man.
Look at the playmakers too.
The playmakers are great.
I mean, even Zach Pascal, who's going to be covering him?
Yeah, he's been
NFC
really
games.
good.
You put a bad cornerback on him, and he's going to light him up. I mean,
I just wrote about him on JAKIB Sports. He's been really, really good, legitimately good.
He does. The guy gets so open. I mean, maybe it's the cornerbacks, yeah, but I think that's going to happen during the year. There's going to be guys that.
Well, he's never going to see a double team ever. So that helps.
That could be, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's reason to be optimistic, and they still haven't really even gotten into the running back thing in the games, like a guy like Gainwell or Miles Sanders. You're going to see that too. I mean, run it till they stop it. You remember that, Jody? That old thing in the NFL.
I do, but that's just not going to be the case this year with the Eagles. Mac and I have gone back and forth on this a couple of times. When I did the show with the camera the other day, he said they should just pick up where they left off. They should run the football. That's the offensive line strength is running the football. Not happening. And it was evidenced by the first preseason game. They ran the ball exactly 0 times in that 80-yard touchdown drive. They're going to throw the football here, big guy.
When I say run it till they stop it, I mean throw the ball to the backs. Throw the ball to the backs. The
Andy Reid run.
The old Andy Reid line. If you throw it to the back, it's considered a running play, huh?
Dink and dunk and open it up. Yeah. That's going to happen. And I'm not sure. And the defense in these joint practices, that'll be the thing to take a look at because unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, Deshaun Watson is going to be able to practice.
Oh, yeah.
So
he'll be on the
I don't know how Kevin Stefanski handles that though, because he's got to get Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, he's got to get Jacoby Brissett healthy, ready to play.
But let me, Bob, let me ask you this, because John said this yesterday, day before. You've been saying it for a week or so now, and I unfortunately have to agree with him. Kenny Gainwell's not opened anybody's eyes in this camp, this preseason. Didn't play in the preseason game. The keep it underneath to open up the deep stuff later on is a good philosophy, but somebody's got to be able to come through with that. If Kenny Gainwell isn't what everybody thought he could be, Mr. Dangerous out of the backfield catching the ball, is Miles going to be able to pick all that up? Is this just a couple days and we're worrying about nothing with Kenny Gainwell? Would you agree that he hasn't wowed anybody so far this preseason?
Kenny Gainwell? I think he has, Jody.
He's
caught the ball. He's caught the ball the best of all the backs. Yeah.
Well, he should, but he hasn't. He's had 2 drops.
Miles Sanders looked good in that last game, too.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened there. I was like, I had to look at the number to make sure it was Miles because one of the passes wasn't even that good, but he turned it into something. So, yeah, I guess that's Jalen, too. That has to be some of Jalen. But yeah, I think Gainwell.
Hammer and I are butting heads today. We got Miles Sanders has been so much better than Kenny Gainwell
too. Boston Scott, they got. I mean, really, he's a good receiver. This is going to be really interesting. How teams defend them. It's going to be very interesting.
Well, I have no issues with Boston Scott, but he's been out with a concussion, but he's going to be fine. He's a good backup running back. But, their plan is to use Kenny in hurry-up situations, third down situations, which makes sense to me. He's a good natural receiver, but he hasn't had a good camp, Bob.
I think he's catching the ball.
Miles Sanders has been so much better than Kenny Gainwell. I think people are just they've swung so they were so outrageous with the predictions for him after his rookie season. And now they dismiss him like he's this terrible player because he didn't live up to their expectations.
Miles?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he hasn't lived up to expectations.
Well, but those quarterback expectations were out of whack.
He didn't even get a touchdown last year. I mean, what would you expect?
Those expectations
he didn't even
were
get
out of
in the
whack.
end zone. I mean, that's hard to do.
All right, let's flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. We talked plenty about the offense. Another guy, and I'm completely cutting this guy slack, unlike Kenny Gainwell. I'm kind of more like John. He's been underwhelming as far as I'm concerned this preseason, for whatever preseason's worth. I would say the same about Hassan Reddick, but that's just the nature of the beast in preseason. You can't catch your own quarterback. Right. We don't want him dismembering Jalen Hurts, so you can't show as much as what Hassan Reddick was brought in here to do, which is get to the quarterback and get sacks. Have you been able to see enough just in unfortunately, I think it's overrated, pressures and being there and maybe make the quarterback move off his spot and the like? Have you seen enough, Bob Grotz, to say, yes, Hassan Reddick's going to do exactly what they brought him in for to do?
Yeah. He's going to, and he will do that. If you look at his numbers, though, you look at Hassan Reddick's numbers, he wears down in the second half of seasons. Man. His sack total, it really drops off the board around the 9th or 10th game. So he had one year where that big year with Arizona, he sacked Daniel Jones 5 times. But the rest of that season, he only had like maybe a half a sack. And that was like when he sacked Jones, that was like game 9 or something like that. So you're going to have a little bit of that Brandon Graham effect type of thing where you can expect a really good start. So we'll see how Jonathan Gannon, how he rotates these guys. And he's got enough guys there that he can rotate. And speaking of defensive ends, Jody, and I've mentioned this to John, Teron Jackson has had a great camp. I mean, he's a guy that no one expects anything out of him, but he's nasty. And he is football smart. So he's going to contribute.
So let me ask you this question.
Surprised if Barnett gets cut and they keep, as the season goes on. I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of him.
No problem with that whatsoever. Yeah. But here's the question I do have about Teron Jackson, because I agree with you that he's kind of opened some eyes. John and I have suggested when Hassan Reddick comes off the field, swapped out, downs off, whatever, that the Eagles will probably more change their defense than just plug someone in for Hassan Reddick. Because what he does and the way he does it a little bit different, certainly than anybody did on the Eagles last year. But if Teron Jackson is playing the way you're saying on the plays that Reddick is out, does Teron Jackson just slide into his spot?
I don't know. I think you'll probably see that some of the time, but I agree with what you said before, that supposition there. But he's a little bit heavier than Reddick. He's I think they're about the same height, right, John?
Yeah,
maybe Jackson.
Yeah, that was the issue with Teron coming out. He was really good pass rusher in college, but he was just short, so he didn't have the length.
He's built. Yeah. He's built. He's got and Reddick is built too, but the base on Teron Jackson, he's done a lot of work. So I think you'll see a little bit of both. And there's a lot of stuff for that Jonathan Gannon has to wrap his arms around.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of stuff he can do, and he's got he's got players this year that you can do something with. They still have to prove that they can stop a good offense. I don't think that's going to happen for when is that first test going to be? Like the second month of the season, something like that.
You could argue Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson.
Week 2 Vikings offense pretty good.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook. Yeah. Adam Thielen's back healthy, so that should be a test week 2.
Rookie head coach.
Yeah, rookie head coach. I think the Eagles should beat them, but it'll be a test from the defense's perspective because they can put up some points and yardage. But the Eagles should win the game. The other guy, the other second-year player who's also really stood out, Bob, Patrick Johnson. Now, he's the guy who would replace Hassan Reddick as sort of that Sam linebacker role. And I thought, when camp started, I thought Kyron Johnson was going to win that job as the new draft pick. But Patrick has been good. He's lapped Kyron Johnson. So you have Patrick Johnson and Teron Jackson. Good. That draft is looking pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't paid as much attention to Johnson. I do know he got in the fight with Dillard.
Yeah, and he beat him up. Yeah, beat him up.
That's all I noticed to him at camp. But I'll take.
He had a good preseason game as well. Again,
I'll take your word for it. Yeah.
Who knows what that means? But he's made this football team. He's gone from the bubble to very safe on that 53. So if you're predicting, Bob, make that mental note. He's very safe.
The guy from the Rams who the leading tackler, the linebacker, he's had a great camp. I can't even remember his name. I get these guys all mixed up.
The guy that talking about London Fletcher?
No. The Chargers. I'm sorry. The
Chargers. Kaiser White. Yeah, Kaiser. Well, Kaiser's a difference.
I never remember this guy's name. I will never remember.
I mean, Kaiser's no doubt about it, starting linebacker, but obviously the splash play.
He's their best linebacker.
Let me ask you guys a linebacker question because we know the starters 3 into 2 for the linebacker position, not counting guys on the overlap, the Hassan Reddicks of the world. We know that certainly Edwards and White and rookie standout in the 3rd round will be Dean, all mixed in for the linebackers. And then there's the reserves, which also
Davion. Yeah, Davion Taylor.
Is Davion a lock to make the roster?
Oh yeah.
I think he'll make it. Yeah.
Is Sean Bradley a lock to make the roster?
Yeah.
He's
they're gonna have a tough time getting down to 53, Johnny Mac. They're keeping 5 linebackers.
5 ball linebackers, yeah. Plus, one of the things that drives me insane, and this is the Eagles' fault, is they list Hassan Reddick and Patrick Johnson and Kyron Johnson as linebackers. So it looks like they're keeping 7 linebackers, maybe 8. And you go, oh, you keep 8 linebackers. Well, they don't play linebacker. They're edge rushers. So it drives me crazy. They won't make that change.
But this gets back to the point that Bob Grotz just made. If they're keeping all those outside linebackers who are actually edge rushers, how's Derek Barnett going to make the team?
Well, unfortunately, he is. I mean,
well, I don't know how long
you two guys are going to have a tough time getting down to 53.
No,
good luck with that. Nick Sirianni's got his work cut out for him. What are they going to keep? 2 safeties? If they're keeping all these linebackers and all these defensive edge guys, well, somebody's got to play in the
numbers. 7. The numbers splash because if you keep it, they're going to keep 4, maybe 5 interior defensive linemen. So then you have room for 5 edge rushers. Maybe Kyron Johnson is the guy on the outside looking in. Now, he's a guy I thought would make the team. You can probably waive him, get him on the practice squad, that type of thing, because he's done nothing. So I think it goes more in that direction. But, yeah, I mean, they have good linebackers for the first time in years. You're not going to cut them. Why cut them?
Are there 2 safeties that you want to keep?
Well, that's the problem.
I can think of one.
So we'll go there, safety, because Marcus Epps was out on what day are we? What was the last practice,
Monday.
Bob? I don't even know what day we are.
It was
Marcus Epps was out.
Tuesday.
Yeah, So they didn't know what to do with that other safety spot. They were looking at Josiah Scott. They were looking at Reed Blankenship. They were looking at Kayvon Wallace. They went back to Kayvon for a little bit. Who they won't look at is Jaquaski Tart. Who are the backup safeties? Who are they going with?
Put the names in a hat, all of them except for Epps, and just draw them out at this point.
You won't even give Anthony Harris. Well, Anthony's safe. I don't know if you can trust him, but
yeah,
he's a lockdown starter. I don't think he's a good starter, but for this team, he's a starter. So, all right, let's assume Anthony Harris is what you think he is, what the Hammer thinks he is. I thought that was the camera's nickname, Jody. Now, Bob.
No, that's Kratz's nickname.
Yeah, well,
that's
true too. I forgot about that.
We got too many hammers. Is what we've got here.
I forgot about the Hammer picture. That's
too many hammers.
So where was I on the safety? I got off my.
You were saying you didn't think the Eagles were going to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
No,
they're a playoff team. They should be a playoff. It'll be very disappointing if they don't make the playoffs. But if they don't make the playoffs, reason number one might be safety. It really might be. I mean, how do you protect guys on the back end? How do you do it?
Your pass rush.
Well, you're going to have to get home. You're going to have to get home very consistently.
There's no question. Yeah. But, and there's also, all right, Jordan Davis, it's going to take him a while to get this thing. And I
don't think from a run stopping standpoint,
I'm not a fan of Fletcher.
I don't think it's taken him any time.
I've had this argument with people. I'm not a fan of Fletcher.
I know.
I think his best days are done. So
I would agree with that.
I think he's overpaid, and I'm not a big there. And Javon, Hargrave, I don't know. He's in a contract year, so you're going to expect a lot out of him.
He's a unicorn, Tracy Rocker said. He's a unicorn.
I don't know where that came from. Yeah,
it might be a little bit of an overstatement. All right, but let me put both you guys on the spot here. Because John and I do this every day. You think about it or write about it every single day there, Hammer. One guy whose name almost never comes up. And you have to tell me if this is a good thing or a bad thing. John, when was the last time we mentioned Josh Sweat?
Probably a while ago. Josh spoke on Tuesday, when he does speak. A lot of giggles. Another likable guy, but he's a good player. I mean, to me, it's a good thing. He's there. I don't know how much he can stand out in, as you said, in practice where you can't officially sack the quarterback. I'm not worried about Josh Sweat. I'm not worried.
We never bring him up. We never talk about, and they got Josh Sack on the other side. It almost never happens, and I'm not sure if it's because he's a given and you like what you got, you know what he is, and he's good enough, or it's just, he's Josh Sweat. He's not standing out, but he's not bad either. He's not making any mistakes. He's not jumping off sides like Derek Barnett. Where is Josh Sweat at right now in your guys' evaluation?
To me, he's a given. Let's hear Bob.
Yeah, we'll figure it out once he and Reddick are on the field at the same time. I think those two they're going to be dynamic. So that's a lot of speed at the edges, and if they get some push up the middle consistently, then you got a pass rush. So I think Sweat's going to be. I still think he's their best defensive end, pure defense. Well, okay, Reddick is their best pass.
Honestly, I still think Brandon Graham is their best. Honestly, but Brandon, he's 34.
He's got a lot of tricks and everything. Yeah, but
he's in great shape.
I hope he can stay healthy.
Yeah,
I did not even realize it until recently. By 3 or 4 months, he's the oldest guy on the team.
Yeah, he's been around.
He's the senior statesman. Yeah,
it's kind of amazing where his career started and where he is now. You don't see that happen very often. People were jumping off roofs saying we could have had Earl Thomas, we could have had JPP, and here's Brandon Graham all these years later, Mr. Eagle, I
13th
believe.
Season.
Jeremiah Washburn called him Mr. Eagle. On Tuesday. Yeah.
That was good. Hey, I would have listened to Washburn if I knew he was going to say that.
Yeah, he was very. He
looks just like his old man, doesn't he?
He's got length. He's got good length to be a pass rusher.
He's got the same. They must have. There must be a Washburn beard or something, or facial hair, cutout that they shave around, because it was exactly the same. I thought it was.
Yeah, I wonder if Jim and Jeremiah talk about how Jim got it wrong with Brandon Graham.
Oh, shot on goal from son to father. I don't think so. I think they keep that under wraps.
Well, Jim drafted Fletcher Cox, so.
Grotz, I need you on the record for maybe the most important thing that we discuss here today. Eagles' third string quarterback. Reed Stinnett did not impress me against the Jets. Actually, he looked pretty damn bad. You guys there at practice, and you've said, written, come on, Birds 365, whatever else. Oh, Reed Stinnett was pretty good. Reed Stinnett way ahead of Carson Strong. I'll believe all that, but just because how bad is Carson Strong if Reed Sinnett's way ahead of him? Because Reed Stinnett didn't look like he should be on an NFL field the other night against the Jets.
I actually heard someone say that Carson Strong didn't play because they were trying to hide him. I swear to God, I heard
Who said that?
Yeah, I rolled my eyes. You know what? I can't say it because
you don't want that. You don't want to
off the record's off the record, right?
Yeah. I just rolled my eyes when I heard that. I didn't even come back. But
boy, they're doing a good job because
he looks he looks like he's got an arm problem already. Carson.
Strong. That's the one thing
that might be related to the knee too, to the base. I wouldn't be surprised if that's acting up again.
You heard all those stories about what a great arm he had. I haven't seen that even.
He pushes the ball like Phillip Rivers on his throws.
Maybe they like it then. Maybe they do like it.
That's
they
love bizarre.
There's a Phillip Rivers groupies on the coaching staff of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Jody, if you saw him throwing a paper wad into a trash bin, you'd say, my God, that's a weird throwing motion, like he just kind of pushes it at the end of it,
he's got a lot of Clayton Thorson in him.
I like that.
Completely. He's a good guy, Clayton Thorson, but completely overmatched.
No one did a better job of getting the food for Carson Wentz than Clayton Thorson.
Good on Clayton.
But here's real quick, Jody. Here's an example. As poor as Reed Sinnett played against the Jets, and you saw, which he did. So the next practice on Tuesday, Carson Strong didn't get one rep in team drills. Not one rep. So if they're trying to hide him, they're doing a good stinking job of it. I'll say that.
I think his knee is bothering him again. I wouldn't be surprised if he went on one of those NFL or football
non-football injury.
Some weird, category where they can stash him for.
Well, you can stash him on IR, but then he can't practice. He's out for the season. So
All right. And by the way, what happened to the quarterback factory? I thought this was the quarterback factory.
That was previous.
They're not baking them up the way they used to down there.
They need a third quarterback. Yeah, I mean, you could have COVID could come back. You never know.
It's still here.
Monkeypox.
No, you don't want to get monkeypox.
What if somebody gets monkeypox? For God's sakes!
I knew somebody had to go monkeypox on this show. I should have known it was going to be Bob Grotz.
Yeah. Who tested positive for COVID? Somebody was just out. Quarterback.
Yeah, they've had some cases this year, right?
Drew Lock. Yeah, Drew Lock and Kirk Cousins again. Yeah.
So there's so many contagions out there. I mean, you do need a third quarterback. You need one. Yeah. Maybe they'll pick a guy up after the cuts.
Yeah, Drew Lock was going to start, right, Jody? And then he
No. And to his credit, he stayed loyal to his guy, unbeknownst to why for me. But no, they said Geno Smith was because he was there last year. It was Geno's job to lose, and he hasn't lost it. Drew Lock hasn't taken it from him. Oh, the Seahawks are just going to be
No, I don't mean in general. I meant they were going to start him in this upcoming preseason.
Oh, this week. Yeah, they were going to give him a start. He's going to miss out on the opportunity because he's got COVID.
Yeah.
So you know what that means? poor JJ Arcega-Whiteside is not going to get a chance to show his mettle this week with his starting
By
quarterback.
the way, why are people in Philadelphia getting upset? Seattle, did you see Seattle put out like a little hype video? I give them credit for getting JJ highlights because they had to dig deep for those. But they put out a little hype video because they just acquired the kid. What do you expect them to do? Why I mean, that's what these social media accounts do. The Eagles are probably digging up clips on I forget his name. Ugo Amadi. And the only reason I know that is our buddy Rob Amadi, as I said to Jody. Ugo Amadi. The Eagles.
He sounds like South Philly muscle, doesn't he?
I was actually surprised that they didn't go back to his Stanford tape.
They should. That was good. The Stanford tape.
Yeah.
I don't know why you think it's hard getting his highlights, John. I mean, he didn't catch that many passes. Everyone was a highlight.
Well, that's true. You could,
you could I'm sure they're all over YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a number of
he'll end up with, if he doesn't work in Seattle, he'll end up with somebody. I mean, he'll be that 51st, second or third guy.
By the way, the Seahawks already moved him back to receiver. Pete Carroll, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
We'll see about that. All right, Mr. Grotz, you're off to wherever you're off to, but then you'll be hanging with McMullen at practice again this week.
Remember the word is lovable. Lovable.
Bob,
not likable, lovable.
Bob, between you and I, nobody else is watching. It wasn't McMullen who said they're hiding Carson Strong, was it?
No,
it wasn't McMullen. All right.
It wasn't him. Yeah.
As long as I know it wasn't Johnny Mack,
he would have fessed up. Yeah.
I feel better about the show.
All right,
Mr. Grotz, always a pleasure. Thanks for hopping on board.
Good job with the hammer thing.
I will tell Kratz.
At Bob Grotz. Yeah. That's a good story. Ed's daughter took a picture of him when he collapsed. I guess he was tired, and he collapsed on his bed. And his daughter, of course, went in and took a picture and put it on social media. Then it was just him, passed out on his bed, probably because he was, doing all these things with his kids. And there was this weird little hammer off to the side of the bed. He had the dog on the bed. You had Ed Kratz completely passed out, and a hammer on the. And we were like, "What the hell's going on with the hammer?" Yeah, and he never could fully explain it.
I would suggest that might be a question you want to ask Mrs. Kratz. But
we made those jokes, but I don't like to go the blue route.
That's just me.
I don't work blue.
And by the way, John McMullen, I thought you said you were booking Bob Kratz. Who was that man?
Yeah, I know.
He is the most cynical. Usually you say glass half empty, glass half full. He looks at that. Coach looks at the glass and goes, "Is there even water in there?" He's the most negative guy we have on Birds 365. Today was Jovial Joe. Everything is great. They're a lovable team, the Eagles.
He's nuts with that Kenny Gainwell assumption. Kenny Gainwell has not been good. That doesn't mean he's not going to be good, but come on. Now, he's right on Teron Jackson. He's had a good camp. Patrick Johnson, I mentioned. But Kenny Gainwell has not had a good camp. I stand on that. Not had a good camp.
And he's been hurt. He's missed days. He hasn't had the chance to shine. But when he has actually been there, we don't get reports on, and Gainwell made 4 catches, and Gainwell broke a tackle, and Gainwell did this. And Jalen Hurts did a couple of things, breaking guys' ankles on running plays. We're not getting that out of Kenny Gainwell so far.
Yeah, he's dropped in, and that's what he's supposed to do well, is catch the football. And he's even dropped a number of passes, which were a bit of a concern. And Miles has played well. Miles, I feel like I'm the one who said, slow your roll on Miles Sanders after his rookie season. And people were comparing him to Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook. I'm like, come on, people, stop it. And now they think he's terrible. I mean, there is a middle ground there.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good player. He's not a superstar, but he's a pretty good player, and he's by far the Eagles' best running back. By far.
Understood. You and I see that exactly the same way. You and I diverge is with Kenny hasn't really opened anybody's eyes. Gainwell. Boston also been injured. Know he can score touchdowns against the Giants. Doesn't do a hell of a lot against anybody else. And as you just described him, pretty good player. Miles Sanders. How do you come up with the Eagles need to run the football? No, the Eagles need to pass the football. To run the football, you got to have running backs that make big plays, and we don't know the Eagles have that right now.
I have said it all summer. It has nothing to do with the running backs. It has to do with the offensive line and the quarterback, the +1 in the running game, who makes it so difficult. There's a reason Miles Sanders, by the way, averaged 5.5 yards per carry. There's a reason nondescript running backs are well over 4 yards a carry. That offensive line and that quarterback and what he does to the opposition run defense. And you saw it. I mean, Las Vegas forward, you saw how dominant the Eagles were running the football. I don't know why you want to go away from that. It doesn't make sense to me. If I have, give me the player, Jody. This is what coaches always give lip service to. They always say it. And the Eagles did it to their credit last year, and I give Nick Sirianni a lot of credit. Give me the player, and I'm going to build around the player. I'm going to build around Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to build around Justin Herbert. I'm not going to build around Joe Burrow. I could sit up there and wish upon a star like Jeffrey Lurie and think he's going to show up. But, I want to win games. So I'm going to build around the guy I have. That's my philosophy.
I get your philosophy. Here's the problem with your philosophy and those who subscribe to the same. Most important game the Eagles played last year was
Tampa Bay.
And that very effective running game up until that point that got them to a winning season, and the postseason did what?
Not much.
Okay. Well, then it's nice to be able to look at the 17 games and say, here's what we need to achieve. But if you're already pretty sure that you're going to be one of those teams that get to the postseason, then you have to go, and here's what we need to do in the postseason.
Well, I'm not saying
that's where the Eagles are right, they're going to need to be able to throw the football against a very good defense in the postseason.
I'm not saying you shouldn't try to improve, and that's where A.J. Brown comes in. I mean, you add talent, it should be easier. I'm not saying never throw the football. I'm saying you should be better throwing the football because you have A.J. Brown and everything falls into place from there. You have a great tight end. You have a great number 2 receiver. You have capable number 3 receivers. So it should make it easier for Jalen Hurts to throw the ball when you need to throw the ball. There should be improvement. I want to see improvement throwing the football. But I don't want to be this pass burst. I'm going to throw it, chuck it 40 times because I have A.J. Brown team. I want to build around the strengths of the quarterback because, and you know me, at my 1-2 in the best 25 Eagles, Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown. That's my 1-2. 1-2. Those are the 2 best pure football players on this team. I get what they are, but the quarterback, and I go to Dave Zangaro's list, his list was most important, and number 1 was Jalen Hurts, and number 1 is the most important. So I got to build around the most important player, and the best players hopefully help the most important player improve in the passing game. But I'm not gonna turn him into Justin Herbert, and I'm not going to try to turn him into Justin Herbert. I don't think that's a good way to go.
So you had A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert ahead of Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson.
Yeah, I had Dallas.
That smells like a passing team to me. If you've got the 2 guys who can grab the football, 1 and 2, and the supposed blocks of granite who are going to run the football down the other team's throats behind them, you got to be able to throw the football. All right, we're late. We got to take a timeout. We'll come back. Coming up in less than 20 minutes from now, Jeff Mosher from InsideTheBirds.com is going to jump aboard with us. More Birds 365 coming your way next.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
The glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, 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 and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Okay, but is the rim...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Mac guys here on Birds 365. We got an hour in the books. About 55 minutes left to play here. Yours truly got to do a quick exit stage left again today. Apologies. But Tone and Johnny Mac will get you home on the back end. Jeff Mosher is going to join us in less than 15 minutes from now. One of the things we discussed a lot with at least that individual who tried to pass himself off as Bob Grotz. I don't know where the hell he came from, because that was the most positive,
everything's hunky-dory, man.
Positive appearance from Bob Grotz.
Yeah.
How many times would you say we've had Grotz on? 6, 7, 8?
I don't know, but I'm disgusted. I feel like I need a shower. Who was this? I think I got diabetes from listening to that.
I am not disgusted. I'm just flabbergasted. There's a difference between those two things. One of the things we didn't get into with Grotz, because we touched on a lot of stuff. He was great. He just wasn't his usual Bob Grotz himself. That's my interpretation. We didn't talk at all about tight end, other than you and I just talking about Dallas Goedert being as good as
I got to get him my Noah Tungi pronunciation.
Very good, Noah. Noah all about the tight end position. I don't know about you. I don't know anything other than Dallas Goedert. As I said yesterday here on the show, surprised the hell out of me. ESPN, I have it on way too much in my house. All day long the other day, fantasy football. 6, 8 straight hours of fantasy football stuff. The NFL Network's doing it too. And I've been playing fantasy football for years. I'm not planning on having a team this year. I would say 2 out of the last 5 years I've gone without. I'm busy on Sunday. I don't know how you could even play fantasy football with your job. I work on CBS Sports Radio on Saturday. So 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was, I said, let me see if I can get by without it. And I did, and I missed it, but it didn't make me nuts. So I got back in, not last year,
I'm
but
very
the year
proud
before.
of this. Can I say this, Jody? I'm very proud of this. I have never played
once.
fantasy football.
You've never
in my
once
life.
played.
No. And so many people invite me into leagues, and I'm like, dude, I don't like it. I don't care. They think I'd be in. I'm like, it goes all the way back to Troy Aikman. when people used to tell me Troy Aikman was a bad quarterback because he had bad fantasy numbers. And I don't want any part of this. If this is what if this is your education to football, I don't want any part
very
of it.
True. Troy Aikman was a bad fantasy quarterback.
I don't want
He's
any
a Hall of Fame
part
quarterback in the real world, but as far as fantasy goes, he was actually a bad
that's that was the crux of it, Jody. I swear to God, I said I don't want any part of this.
I played when Troy played fantasy football, and even though I was a fan, I never had him on my fantasy team once because I knew for sure that he was a bad fantasy quarterback. But that aside, I didn't play last year. I'm not planning on playing this year. I'm perfectly fine with I played 2 years ago because a buddy begged me to come in. We got to have you in the league. And I did it. And yeah, it was a little bit more of a pain than it ever was. I'm kind of over fantasy football is the point I'm trying to make. And more power to you guys if you're still playing. There was a time when I absolutely loved it. I almost lived it. One year I had a team with my wife. She and I drafted a team together, and she had just as much a say in playing and picking the players. And we actually made money. We lost in the semifinals of the playoffs, but or we finished in third
now
place.
If you're having fun, and I always say, if you like it, go have fun.
We did, and I really did enjoy the year that we had with
me.
Next year we did it again. I did 2 years with my wife. We stunk, and oh man, did we fight! So that was it. Never again were we going to have the Mrs. Mac and Daddy Mac team in fantasy football. But long-winded way to get to the point I was trying to make. Dallas Goedert is not in anybody's top 5 tight ends this year for fantasy, and I think that's nuts because I do believe
quarterback though. It's not about the tight end. It's about the quarterback. If you put Dallas Goedert with, name the quarterback. I bring up Herbert and Burrow all the time. If you put them with them, he's in the top 5.
Understood.
It's about the quarterback.
Quick question. Who do you think is going to be a better fantasy player this year, Dallas Goedert or Darren Waller?
Darren Waller.
I don't.
Well, because he's got Derek Carr.
Yeah, he's also got Devontae Adams.
Yeah, but you're not gonna. He's still gonna be, like here. It's 1A. If people think, by the way, it's AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, I think it's Dallas Goedert, AJ Brown. So I'm leaning more towards your way. But you have 1A and you have 1B. They're both going to get a ton of traffic. The Raiders also have Hunter Renfrow. I forget who their other receiver is. I'd have to look it up. So they have a lot of good plays, but Derek Carr puts up numbers, man. I mean,
he does. And I think he'll put up numbers this year, but I think they're going to be outrageous with Devontae Adams. And
they probably are.
Oh, by the way, Waller is more apt to be injured than is a Dallas Goedert. Now, as soon as I say that, Dallas Goedert's going to.
Well, yeah, injury is a concern.
Right. You can never predict it, but I think you have to at least look at the history of it when you're making an evaluation in a specific position, and that means rankings and the like.
Well, I'll give you another example. Irv Smith. Like Irv Smith missed all of last season. His dad, if you remember, played at Notre Dame, I think. Big time player. He played at Alabama. He was supposed to have a really big season, taking over for Kyle Rudolph last year, got hurt. They have Jefferson and Thielen and KJ Osborne. They throw the ball all over the place. Irv Smith, if he plays, now injuries are a concern. He's going to put up big numbers. Those quarterbacks, they not only put up big numbers, they get the ball all over the place. So, and I'm no fantasy expert. I just said I don't play it. I don't like it. But if it's about statistics, if it's about numbers, I'm focusing on those quarterbacks and those guys who are consistent putting up numbers.
For me, Andrews, Kelsey, Goddard. I think he's going to be the third best fantasy tight end in football. And I know fantasy's fantasy, real life is real life. What do you do to help your team win football games on Sunday? Much more important. I get it. But
no Kittle?
I got him ahead of Kittle.
Oh, because of Trey Lance.
Yeah, right? If you're going to say, whoa, but look at Jalen Hurts. You're going to compare
well,
Jalen
that's
Hurts
what I'm saying,
Derek
though.
Carr. I'll take Jalen Hurts ahead of Trey Lance at this point.
So will I. But, it's the same sentiment, though. So you're knocking Kittle down for the same sentiment people are knocking Goddard down, in that they don't have the Derek Carr or the Kirk Cousins. And it's probably right, to be honest. It's probably right to knock him down at least a little bit, as opposed to somebody like Kelsey, who not only from his history, but because he has Patrick Mahomes, if he's healthy, if he's out there. And by the way, there's no more Tyreek Hill as well. So if anything, he's going to get more targets. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's about those high volume throwers when it comes to now. Jalen's a good fantasy player because of the running stuff. So but when you're looking at the receivers on Philadelphia, yeah, you got to be a little bit cautious, I would think. But I don't know.
Since I officially put the jinx on Goddard by noting that Darren Waller could very well get hurt, because that's one of the guys who's ranked above him. Most have Waller ahead of him. Most have Kittle ahead of him. Some have Hawkinson ahead of him. You want to go with Jared?
Good player, DJ Hawkinson.
He may be, but did you watch Hard Knocks this week?
I did not.
It was a perfect example. Talk about likable. I asked you at the top of the show. That's why I wanted to get off on a likable tangent, because the note that I wrote for myself, watched second episode of Hard Knocks. The Lions are really likable. Almost every year, the team that's on Hard Knocks comes off as really likable. But this Lion team, maybe above and beyond, is really likable. They had their first preseason game. They blew a lead late and lost. That's what the Lions are going to be. No matter how likable they are, no matter how much you think that you'd like to play for their head coach, they're not a good football team, and they're not going to be a good football team, and Eagles are going to go in there and win by double-digit points the first week of the season. But I digress. I was making a point about tight ends. That I think Goddard
TJ Hawkinson
should be a top 3 fantasy tight end this year. And then what for the Eagles at tight end, Johnny Mac? They can only keep 2 tight ends, because you got 9 edge guys making the team and 8 linebackers making the team. So there's no way they're keeping a 3rd tight end. So what do they do with Calcaterra? What do they do with your boy Noah?
They're keeping 3 tight ends. The problem is who's the 3rd tight end?
You understand the number 53,
I understand.
Right? It's not 54. It's not 58. It's not 62.
Now,
it's 53.
Bo Wolf can claim credit, but nobody else other than Bo Wolf, because I either win or I come in second. I'm well aware about roster construction. For right now, remember the 53, and then you hit the waiver wire. Like, they're keeping 2 quarterbacks. All right, number 1, right off the bat. 3 running backs, number 1. Now, they might shift after the 53, but Jason Huntley isn't making this team.
Brooks Kennedy?
Kennedy Brooks isn't making this team. So you're going to have some light positions, and you're going to go, what's going on when they go down to the initial 53? They might even cut. This is what teams do now, and it started either last year or 2 years. They might even cut Rick Lovato to keep somebody on the initial 53 and bring him back.
There was a whole bunch of those guys out there like that.
Yeah, and they do the wink, Rick, because he's a vested veteran. He doesn't have to go through waivers. So you can say, Rick, we need this roster spot. We're bringing you back. We got the wink. 8 teams did it last year, Jody. You might even have that to keep one of these young guys and then be able to put them on injured reserve or whatever so they can come back and do some roster maneuvering that way. They might pick up a running back on waivers, but you keep somebody originally, and then when you make the spot afterwards. So believe me, I know what's going on. They're going to keep 3 tight ends. The issue to me is Noah Tungiai should make this team as of today. Now, there's plenty of time to go. You still have these 4 practices, which are the most important practices of the summer, to be honest. Yep. And he could, the bed in those 4 practices, and it could change. But as of right now, he's been their 2nd best tight end behind Dallas Goedert. Now, the Eagles seem to like Jack Stoll better. I don't get it, but, so we're talking about the 3rd spot. Grant Calcaterra can't get on the stinking field. So if you're keeping Grant Calcaterra over Noah Tungiai, you're just saying, all right, I believe in my evaluation. I believe in the upside of this particular player because he's done nothing to deserve it, whereas Noah has played his way onto this roster. Now, there's other strategies. There's much more strategy now that they've changed the rules with roster construction, because you can say, all right, am I going to get Calcaterra through waivers? Can I get Tungiai through waivers? You might be making that decision, and then you bring the loser, so to speak, back on the practice squad. So there's a lot of things that come into it. But I also think, Jody, as a GM, as a coaching staff, you also have to send a message. And if the players know, like if they look at Noah Tungiai and say, this kid deserves to make the team, this kid's better than so-and-so, you want to send that message that this is a meritocracy, and if you play well, you're going to get rewarded. So I do think, I'm not going to say it's a big thing, but I do think at times it becomes something you want to send a message to the locker room.
All right, last thing, and he's not in the green room yet. We're hoping Jeff Mosher jumps in there in just a second, but before he does he take part in the 53-man roster contest?
Most, I think he has in the past, but I'm not sure if he's been consistent.
See if he's got a grasp on roster construction.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing, Jody.
Okay,
I know what I'm doing.
He's already got it. He's got it planned down. He's just got to fill in the blanks with the guys over these next 4 important practices on the joint practice.
And Bo Wolf is going to pop on and peacock himself as the
only guy who can beat Johnny Mack in the roster construction 53-man contest that the Eagle Riders have. All right, the aforementioned Jeff Mosher scheduled to join us. Hopefully that's the case. We'll come back. John McMullen, Jody McDonald, right here on Birds 365.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
The glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Okay, but is the rip...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. 1 free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
With my bud and partner, John McMullen, I'm Jody McDonald. Joining us now, pulling in his chair, not going anywhere like our first guest. Good to have him locked in and ready to rock and roll for the next 20-25 minutes is Jeff Mosher from Inside the Birds, podcast.com, and the like. If you didn't log in, you might not have been watching this before you logged in. McMullen threw down the gauntlet. He basically said Jeff Mosher's got no chance to win the contest.
That is not true,
man roster. Because if the only way I could possibly lose is if the athletic guy beats me again. But other than that, no one else has a shot.
Completely untrue. He's trying to start the media.
No, listen, I concede. I concede to Bo Wolf, and you and Bo own that thing.
Yeah.
So
I'm jumping on your bandwagon. I'm going on record right now saying that I think Jeff Mosher is going to win the contest.
I did brag about one thing that I understand roster construction, and that's where Jody went with it. But Bo is the defending, I think, 3-time champion, which I won the year before that.
Does John Heyman come out and introduce him before you guys hand in all your contests? That's a wrestling reference that I thought McMullen would.
Paul Heyman.
He's looking at me like, what the hell
John
are you
Heyman's
talking
the
about?
baseball insider.
The reigning, undefended, undisputed champion of the roster contest, Bo Wolf.
Now, it's funny you say that, Jody, because when I was the champion, I got Paul Heyman to tweet out that entrance for me. I got him to do it because Paul follows me. So I got him to do it, and then I got too cocky and I lost to Bo Wolf. So that's what happens. But
and I might be getting too cocky by jumping on the Mosher bandwagon. I got faith in you, Jeff Mosher. It's all you this year, buddy.
I appreciate it. I listen. I do have a claim to fame for a 53-man roster projection. I don't think John was with us yet on the beat at that time, but I did accurately predict a player once to make the Eagles 53 when he wasn't even on the Eagles.
There we go. Now that's impressive. That's impressive. Who was that?
So he was a safety, short safety that was playing for the Browns at the time. And because the Browns were coached by Pat Shurmur and the Eagles were so bad at safety, and boy, the more things change, the more they stay the same. They were so. I wound up looking around rosters of teams that I knew had some connection to Andy Reid, and so Pat Shurmur's team. I called a few people trying to get an idea of who might get cut, and there was a. I wish I could remember his name now. He was a great story. I think he played at Iowa State. He was a rookie free agent safety.
You know everything about this guy but his name.
So I put him on the Eagles 53. I said, this guy's going to get cut, and the Eagles are going to claim him.
Yeah, that's always impressive because the Eagles are going to claim somebody. You know that. And I look at running back, I look at tight end, I look at safety as well as the most likely positions, which is why you have to have all these rules. So we basically bogged it down to the initial 53. And there's more strategy now, most because of the expanded practice squad.
Sure.
Last year, I was telling Jody, it became a trend in the league to cut your long snapper, and especially if he's a veteran, so he doesn't have to go through waivers. The Eagles did it last year with Rick Lovato. So you wink him and say, we need to keep this guy on the initial 53, and then you bring back your long snapper. You're going to see that happen all over the league.
Right.
But I do like
then they put Tyree Jackson on PUP the next day, right? I think that's how it went. They just wanted to be able to keep Tyree, right? I mean, there's a lot of maneuvering that goes on.
Yeah. And on Tuesday, so Marcus Epps was out with a back injury. And by the way, we all act like Marcus Epps is some proven commodity.
So funny. I said that today on the podcast. Yep.
Yeah. It's amazing. But the Eagles don't know what to do. He's out for one practice, and they're trying Josiah Scott. They're trying Reed Blankenship. They go back to Kayvon Wallace. All three players got first-team reps. Is this a bigger problem than people realize, the safety position?
So I'll just tell you guys exactly how I phrased it today on the podcast that dropped this morning. I echoed your sentiment that Marcus Epps is their best safety, their best coverage safety at least, which in nowadays game makes you a best safety, but he hasn't even started a full season yet. So he's sort of a question mark from that regard. Every other safety after Marcus Epps, and there's a lot of them now, Anthony Harris, Jaquiski Tartt, Andre Chachere, all the way to the new guy that they just added, Ugo Amadi. All of them should be looking at themselves and saying, I'm not 100% sure I have a job with the Philadelphia Eagles when that cut down happens. And I'm not Adam, his eyes open. I didn't say they're all getting cut. I'm saying each and every one of them cannot say definitively 100% I will be employed by the Philadelphia Eagles after the cut down, because they're weak at this. This has become their new linebacker when they were skating by with everybody on the team being an undrafted free agent, whether it was T.J. Edwards or Nate Gary or Duke Riley or whatever. This is now their new linebacker. It's a position that they have ignored so much in the draft. And listen, that's because they prioritize O-line, D-line. It's worked out for them. But they've ignored it so much that they've left themselves in great peril at the position.
Mosher,
and Howie Roseman is the type of guy to make an aggressive move when he needs to. And if he makes an aggressive move, it's not going to be to add another mid-level guy. It's going to be someone to put next to Marcus Epps, I would think. And that leaves everybody not named Marcus Epps and anyone Howie brings in as like, oh, am I going to make this team or not?
If I said to you that Josiah Scott might have more roster confidence making right now because of his versatility than any of the other just pure safeties, would you agree with me?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think when you look at what the Eagles intend to do, and again, some of that's still a question mark, but Gannon's background, some of the coaches he's been with, the league trending toward pattern matching, mirror and match coverage. Some teams like really big, tall guys. Seattle is always like the taller safeties, the bigger guys. But teams that do pattern matching, mirror matching, they just want almost 5 or 6 cornerbacks out there. They want guys who can run and cover. So Josiah Scott is a guy who, as you just mentioned, Jody, he's played outside corner, he's played inside nickel, and now they're working him out at safety. So that versatility will help. If the season ended today, the preseason ended today, I think he's definitely on the team.
To Jeff's point, though, I mean, the Eagles just traded for Ugo Amadi, as you mentioned, who plays nickel, safety, special teams, just like Josiah Scott. So you, at least if you're Josiah Scott, you have to say, well, have I not impressed these guys as much as I think? Because they bring in a mirror player. Now, granted, late addition, but still the 4 most important practices coming up. And you even brought up Anthony Harris. Your point, if this Chuck Clark trade happens all of a sudden, yeah, maybe Anthony Harris is out of here.
Yeah, because Anthony Harris, I think,
is starter.
Right.
He's not playing special teams. Yeah.
Sure.
So if they make that splash move, yeah, Jeff's right. Now that was a good point. I give him credit. Probably the only safety that can sleep comfortably at night and can put his name in pen on the roster is Marcus Epps. That's kind of amazing this late in the summer.
Since you touch on him, and I've been meaning to bring him up for 3 days now. Shame on me. I had Vinny Serrato on my show on CBS Sports Radio, former NFL executive who does talk shows down in Baltimore, pretty tied in with the Ravens. They're keeping all 3 of their safeties. They think they can play all 3 of them together. I know John and I talked about it as soon as the draft pick went down and the Ravens added another safety. We said, let's get our hands on Chuck Clark. He'd be a great. They don't need 3 starting safeties. So we've only been talking about it since April. But when I had Vinny on Sunday, he says, oh, no, they're going to rotate those 3 guys. He thinks they can get all 3 on the field at the same time.
Well, you can. I mean, the Eagles have been playing 3 safety looks since Jim Schwartz was here, since they had who's the guy that came over from Baltimore? Corey Graham, right? I mean, that's kind of the big nickel or big dime, whatever you want to call it, has been a feature that they've used before and with success. And like I said, a lot of teams, and it's not surprising to hear that about the Ravens because they're one of those teams that likes guys that can run and cover in the back end and would rather have you be a coverage guy than a big hard hitter.
But I can't shake the feeling, Jeff, that, the first real move the Eagles tried to make in free agency was Marcus Williams, who was on the Ravens. They wanted him. They wanted him badly.
Yep.
So that, we always talk about don't listen to what a team says, watch what they do. That was a clear indication the Eagles knew we have to get better at safety, and they haven't been able to get better at safety. I understand. They wanted Jordan Davis, so I understand why they looked in a different direction than Kyle Hamilton. the Honey Badger. I don't necessarily disagree with that because I think he's a descending player. They didn't want to get in a bidding war there. Plus, he probably wanted to go home. So I don't have a problem there. Jaquiski Tartt has done nothing. He has not taken one first team rep, Jeff. Now, if you told me before camp, Jaquiski Tartt would take no first team reps, and oh, by the way, Anthony Harris missed time with COVID and a dental issue, and then Marcus Epps missed time, and he gets no first team reps, I would have said, you're nuts. You're crazy.
Yep.
No. Yep. They need to get better at safety. They seem to know it, and they can't do it. So, bottom line, your final prediction, is another shoe going to drop come the cut down to 53?
I believe there.
Waiver
I believe it will. Yeah, I think it will. I think it'll probably be a more aggressive move than a waiver claim, unless somebody gets put on waivers that's surprisingly good or really fits the defense. I don't think it's going to be Jesse Bates. I'm sure you guys have talked about it a million times, but I'll just add that I don't believe it's Jesse Bates because I don't believe there's anything to gain by trading for somebody who has to play the year on the franchise tag.
Yeah.
Financially and from a leverage standpoint. So I would really doubt that that's the move. But, you know, I couldn't have seen I knew the Eagles needed a corner in 2017, but I didn't see the Ronald Darby move coming. So you just never know who's that. You have to kind of go look at safeties who are probably 3 years in and maybe good enough to be a starter, but not good enough to get an extension from whatever team they're at, or there's a new coaching change. That's what really happened to Ronald Darby. They went from a team that played predominantly man to a team that played predominantly zone. So they just felt like that. And plus they had Tre'Davious White coming up. They felt like Ronald Darby is someone that they can move on from. And so the irony of that year, right, John and Jody, is that, you know, Ronald Darby was such a necessary a need for the Eagles, who were so bad at corner. At that point, they had like Ron Brooks and Jalen Mills and Jalen Watkins.
Ron Brooks. Love it.
I mean, we went through this on the pod. All the guys, that it was not good there. And then they get Ronald Darby. And then what happens? He gets hurt in the season opener and he misses 10 games. So the guy that you thought the Eagles absolutely needed to be successful misses 10 games. They go 9-1. Who would have thought, right? Who would have thought?
Yeah, well, that year was I remember Patrick Robinson.
Oh yeah,
was so bad in camp. So this is a cautionary tale for everybody. I've been talking about Kenny Gainwell has not impressed me in camp this year. Patrick Robinson was just terrible to the point. You might have been there, Mose. He did that sort of
I was there.
impromptu press conference inside right inside the door.
Yep.
And he looked like he was ready to have a nervous breakdown. He was I
remember him talking about how hot it was.
Yeah. And he was just terrible. And all of a sudden the regular season shows up. He's the best slot corner in football the entire year. It was amazing the year he had. Culminating in the NFC Championship game,
You know the expression in baseball, when a pitcher's struggling, they say you run into the bat rack just to go hit off of them. You saw like fringe wide receivers, guys who could not run, just couldn't wait to get into one-on-ones against Patrick Robinson. Could not wait. But I think the move, it wasn't just a finger snap, right? It's sort of the Nelson Aguilar impact on defense. Once they moved him away from the outside and into the slot, again, because they acquired Ronald Darby, it seemed like that was such a perfect move to get him in a position where he was suited to succeed.
Yeah.
Most out of the 4 undefeated joint practices the Eagles had last year, how many were you in attendance for?
I think one. I think just one. Yeah.
In that one practice, was there anything that jumped out at you? Different than you go to practice all the time and the drills that they work on, how they run a practice. You're doing it against someone else, Sirianni's way of doing it and handling it. Was there anything that you jumped out that you'll specifically keep in the back of your mind and say, all right, I got to see if they do that again this year, because it was something that may have tipped you to the kind of year the Eagles were going to have?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't even remember what I had for lunch yesterday or breakfast this morning, and I just had breakfast.
But you remember these non-needed Eagle DBs from 2017. You can remember that.
Yeah, I do. How's Randall Goforth doing these days? No, nothing that jumped out at me. I always say that the value in these, Jody, are that you come across games, right? And like, for example, take the preseason opener. The Eagles scored a touchdown. There was no 3rd or 4th and 1. There was no goal line situation. So these practices, you're able to script and get in situations that you want to be able to master and be good at for the season, but may not have that opportunity to do in a preseason game, especially when you're only playing one series. And who knows if Nick's going to play his starters in any of these next 2 games anyway. So that might have been one and done. So that's why I like these practices. My best memory of joint practices, Jody, is like 5. And John will remember this when they practiced against the Patriots and Tom Brady was still there. And you just never saw the ball hit the ground. It was unbelievable. And 1-on-1, 7-on-7s, 11. The ball just never hit the ground ever compared to what I think was that Carson's first year?
Yeah, that was one of I'm glad you brought that up, Moshe. That is one of my favorite stories ever. The Eagles were doing 1-on-1, so receivers against defensive backs on the far field for anybody who's ever been at the NovaCare complex. So we're able to stand on the side, and it's as close as you can get to the players, as close as you can get, your feet away. And I never heard so many expletives in my life. Every Eagles defensive back coming back, shaking their head, saying, F this, F that. Brady was unbelievable. I've been going to too many football practices for too many years, and they get boring. Yes. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like the accuracy. It was unbelievable. And I don't think I'll ever see anything like that again, to be honest. But getting back to the joint practice format, Jeff, the Eagles were undefeated last year, but I think a lot of that had to do, and Jody will know, same old Jets, just the Jets.
Right.
The Patriots had Cam Newton, who was struggling mightily at the time. Mac Jones was obviously a rookie quarterback. This time, they're on the road, which should help. Cleveland's really talented roster. Miami's really talented roster. Yes. They've done a good job. These practices, it's going to be a little bit tougher for them. Do you think that's valuable to face teams that talented, even if you lose, put that in quotations, to joint practice?
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, look, the way training, more so now, John, than ever, because of the way teams have scaled back at practice, on hours, on contact, on pads, on everything. You really don't get the same level of competition, no matter how much the coaches try to tell you there's a lot of great competition and guys are out there sweating. Yeah, they are. But that's all in comparison. What they did 5 years ago and 10 years ago and 15 years ago is nothing close to what they do now. So that's why I like joint practices now. I think it's an opportunity for both sides of the ball to see something new, something different. And again, they can do an entire goal line drill, third down drill, red zone drill, and get first, second, third team reps against a formidable opponent at all 3 levels, first, second, third team, that they would not get in a game. Think about it from this way. We know that in the preseason games, which the worlds are watching, there's tape, there's all 22 available, that play callers, offensive and defensive, they get very vanilla. Like, you go back and watch the Jets. The Jets stayed in their cover 3. I mean, they played 7 men in the box. No wonder why the Eagles passed the ball all around. It's like the Jets were defending second or third and 1 the entire game. They really didn't try to do anything. So the Eagles threw the ball a lot. That in joint practices, when there's nobody watching and the tape doesn't go out, these coordinators and play callers will dial up their best stuff. They're trying to test their units versus another unit. So I think it's even a better way to prepare a team for what they'll see in the regular season than nowadays a preseason game would do.
All right, last thing for me. David Sims,
the safety from Iowa State. Yes, that's the guy. I put him on my 53, and he was on it. Yeah. Yep, he got claimed.
And Randall Goforth, I guess, is having lunch right now with Nate Metters. That would be my guess.
Okay, there you go.
You guys are throwing out some names, and they're going right over my head. I got to be honest. I had to go to Google to figure out David Sims, Iowa State. Safety, Browns. I had to put a whole bunch of things in there just to come up with David Sims. And then when I saw the name, I go, oh, that's right. Little guy, David Sims. That's exactly who it is.
Yeah.
I have to say, of my long journalism career, that might be The pinnacle.
That is always impressive. When you can pick a waiver wire pickup, you're doing a good job.
A waiver wire guy before he's on the team to make the team. He's still a member of the other team.
Yeah,
that
should be a bullet. That should be bullet point 1 on the resume. Jeff Mosher.
Second level thinking right there, fellas.
All right, most new pod dropped today. Where can the Eagle fans listen to the latest podcast?
Yeah, anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Amazon, Spotify. We're on every single major podcast platform. You can even find the written aggregated version on InsideTheBirds.com with some other content that we've had from practices. And we have a YouTube channel, of course, Inside the Birds on YouTube. You can watch the podcast if you actually want to watch me and Adam for an hour.
Well, some people watch me and Jody, so
every single day. We get in front of a camera every single day, which, as you can tell right here in this street shot, one of the three of us had some color, and it's not me and McMullen. So I'm guessing the YouTube show looks just fine.
Well, you spend all that time
Always a pleasure,
at the
bud.
beach.
You know we're going to get you on as soon as the season gets underway. Thanks for doing it with us today.
You got it, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Mosher.
Jeff Mosher. And well, he should, bragging on the fact that he named a guy to make the Eagles roster when he was still a member of another team. That is flat out reporting and impressive.
That is always impressive, because I'm telling you right now, they're going to pick up somebody, running back, tight end, safety. I can't tell you who it's going to be, though. I can't tell you.
We shall see as we get joint practice in today. We'll certainly have someone on. I know we're going to have somebody on from the Cleveland side tomorrow. Who will be giving us a little bit of a Brown perspective tomorrow, and we're going to try and hustle up an Eagle guy who is at joint practice today. So that's tomorrow, because I got to exit stage left here for a couple of minutes. One quick note: my phone rang or buzzed, or I got a notification, whatever. Baker Mayfield named as the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. So that's something that we may be able to work into tomorrow.
But that's the way they had to go. And, I think Baker's underrated. I've said that pretty consistently. I think he's underrated.
Here's what I'll say about the Browns quarterback with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Better than Seattle's. I'll take those two guys over
I'll tell you what.
And Drew, with or without COVID lock, doesn't matter to me.
I take Baker Mayfield over Jacoby Brissett, but the Browns can't do that anymore. They're stuck with Jacoby Brissett for at least a while.
All right, Johnny Mac, wrap it up. Tone will be on. He'll get you home. You and me tomorrow morning.
Let's do it. Football Friday. Is it Friday tomorrow? Yes.
Tomorrow is a Football Friday, post-joint practice Football Friday. So I'll be back tomorrow, but Johnny Mac and Tone will take you home here on Birds 365.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Acton News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
7 on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit. Glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rip...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of stateside vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Welcome back to Birds 365. He's John McMullen, and I am Tone DeShields II. Thank you guys so much for being locked in on the content. As I always say to you guys when I hop on, make sure you guys smash that like button. It really helps the algorithms grow. I know that's not really Jody's thing, but I got his back and I got John's back. Make sure you guys continue to smash that like button. Stay locked in on the content. Continue to support, subscribe, stay engaged in the live chat. All that engagement really helps the content grow. So, John, I've been tuned in the background listening to you guys, pontificate about all things Eagles. I learned that word from you, by the way. I've been locked in behind the scenes, and you guys brought up a topic that was really interesting to me. And this is earlier in the show, Jalen Hurts and the marriage between his passing ability and his running ability. Now, this is my mindset. People can talk about all the rushing yards and how electric he is in the running game all they want. That's fine and dandy. But I'll put it to you from this perspective. If his passing is as electric as his running, I love it. But if his passing can't measure up to his running ability, if he has 1,000 yards rushing but doesn't have the passing yards to match that level of production, I just don't care, and I understand how dynamic that can be for a team having a quarterback that's mobile. But if he can't pass the ball, what's the point?
And I think people misconstrue this. And when I say build around the quarterback, the assumption is, oh, you got to run the football. That's not what it means. It means you don't ignore the strengths of the quarterback, and you still build everything off the running game versus the passing game. Whereas if you have a Justin Herbert, it's going to be passing game over running game. That's all I mean. Doesn't mean Jalen Hurts can't pass the ball successfully. He can. Doesn't mean you can't improve. You should. And that's why you bring in A.J. Brown. And that's why you have this difference between, say, the weapons of Dallas Goedert with AJ and Devontae Smith and everything falling into place. I always talk about that domino effect. Quez Watkins, Zach Pascal's been great, as I mentioned, in training camp, and I wrote on JAKIBsports.com. You should be better passing the game, passing the football. What I don't want to do, though, is assume he's going to be Justin Herbert.
Right.
All right. That to me makes no sense. And when I say I want to go full Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson won an MVP in this league. Lamar Jackson throws the football successfully. Hasn't reached the heights in the playoffs that you would like, but it's hard to win in the playoffs. I'm trying to make the best football team I can. And how do you do that? You build around the quarterback you have, and you build around his strengths. That's all I mean. I don't want to try to say, and that's why I said Jeffrey Lurie sitting at the top of the NovaCare complex, wishing on a star, wishing for Justin Herbert. You don't have Justin Herbert. Forget about Justin Herbert. Forget about Joe Burrow. Build around the quarterback you have. That to me is the definition of what you do as a coach and as a football team, or the definition you should do. Build around the strengths of the player you have.
So what should their approach be? I mean, we know last season when everything began, they came out really pass heavy. You know, they got gung-ho after week 1, and they had that young man passing that ball 35, 40, sometimes 45 times a game. And that's not really conducive to his game or his success. And then you saw them start to taper off the passing game and add on more of that rushing attack. Now, should that be flipped on its head entering this season? Should they pick up where they left off and then allow the passing game to take on a life of its own?
I think they should pick up where they left off. They were successful. And I know Jody points to the playoff game. All right, they lost to a better team. Doesn't mean the Las Vegas forward didn't happen. You saw what happened when they tried to drop it back 40 times and be pass heavy and, go that route. It wasn't good. Now, again, it doesn't mean you can't improve. You didn't have A.J. Brown last year. But just because you bring in A.J. Brown, you don't just say, oh, I'm going to throw it 40 times. Tennessee had A.J. Brown, right? They don't have a great quarterback in Ryan Tannehill. He can make some throws. They built around Derrick Henry and the running game. Well, it's a little bit different type of running game here. You don't have Derrick Henry, but you do have Jalen Hurts. You build around the strengths that you have. And maybe if Tennessee it turned into the number 1 seed that won a Super Bowl instead of just the number 1 seed that, lost against Cincinnati in the playoffs, people would have a different mentality and say, all right, that's the right thing to do. But you always get this, I don't get this mentality of you can't win that way, so don't do it. In other words, I always talk about margin of error. I talk about it all the time. Yes, the margin of error is smaller, but the margin of error grows for you specifically. Is the margin of error smaller than when you play Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or Tom? Yes, they have a larger margin of error. But the margin of error grows for you by taking advantage of what you have, not by going in a different direction and trying to turn Jalen Hurts into Patrick Mahomes. That's what I think people don't understand, to be honest.
Yeah.
Plus, real quick, Tom, plus,
you good?
Only one team wins. So if that's your standard, well, Lamar Jackson's never won a Super Bowl. They've been pretty successful, though. Your goal is to maximize what you have, and that's not always going to be winning the Super Bowl every year. Obviously.
Yeah. Even the best quarterbacks sometimes go their entire career without winning a Super Bowl. But I like to liken it to baseball, right? Any manager knows how far he can push his ace. Sometimes, there are some starting pitchers that can only go about maybe 5 or 6 innings before you start to, lose effectiveness with that pitch. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, he is a quarterback who, once he starts to get into that 30 to 40 range of his throws, he starts to lose effectiveness as a passer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, you're right. The higher that number goes, it's probably worse for the Eagles. So if you're over 40, that's not where you want to be. I talk about it all the time with the counterintuitive notion with Zach Pascal versus Quez Watkins. Eagles fans want to see Quez Watkins out there. Probably a bad sign. If you see more Zach Pascal, your team's probably winning because you're trying to run the ball. You're in the 4-minute offense. You're in the red zone, places where Zach Pascal would be apt to get playing time. Whereas if you're losing by 10 points, you got to make plays, and Quez Watkins is probably on the field. Counterintuitive. It's difficult for people to understand that, get behind it, realize it. Maybe when they see it, it changes a little bit. But, if you're up 10 points in the fourth quarter, Zach Pascal's going to be on the field. That's a good thing. that's a good thing.
Yeah, you know, as we begin to close the show, I think what's going to be the difference with Jalen Hurts this season is not necessarily how much he's throwing, but how much he's connecting on his throws. Let's be honest. Last season, Jalen Hurts left a lot of meat on the bones, you know, left a lot of food on the table, left a lot of money in the casino, right? And he also missed on some guys. And he was reluctant to take the easy pass. He was reluctant to take the check down. I believe that we're going to see the improvement in Jalen Hurts' game, not necessarily by the quantity of the throws and the completions, but the quality of the throws and the completions. Allow him to, allow him to hit those check downs and, have a more reputable completion percentage. You know what I mean? Because I think that's where his game that's what was missing from his game. He was able to have the explosive throws, but they were so far in between, he kind of looked inconsistent. If he can be more willing to take those check downs, if he's more willing to take those 5 to 7 yard gains and allow his running backs or tight ends or whoever to make a play for him, then that can help his game expand. And then people can potentially begin to look at Jalen Hurts like he's a much more complete, much more competent quarterback.
Yeah, and I'm kind of torn on that for this reason. I don't really care about what others think. If I'm the Eagles, and completion percentage, you're right. I mean, if you dump the football off, maybe it goes up a couple points. Is the play as effective as Jalen Hurts running ball? Nick Sirianni talked about this. He used the phrase, sometimes you don't know what you have until you have it. So in other words, if he dumps it off to the back and the back gets 7 yards, Jalen might have got 15, 20 running it. It's a bigger play with him running the football, but maybe his completion percentage goes down a tick so to me with Jalen Hurts, and I always use the term unique, he's a very unique player. And I want to take advantage of what he does well and the unique aspects of his game. The best comparison is Lamar. Nothing's a great comparison, but because of his dual threat ability, I want to see explosive plays. I want to see game-changing plays. I don't really care if he dumps the football off. I don't really care what his completion percentage is. If he can go win me games with these explosive plays, which the Eagles tell you, Nick Sirianni, Jonathan Gannon, the two statistics that stand up are turnovers and explosive plays. That's it. If you win those two battles, you're going to win 90% of the time. Not about completion percentage, not about dumping the football. He can throw for 70% completion percentage tomorrow. If you make things simple for him, you'll be a worse football team by taking away his big play ability. So, if people are caught up in stats, they should be looking at the right stats. What are the explosive plays? Is he taking care of the football? If he creates explosive plays while taking care of the football, Eagles are going to win a lot of games.
And you guys heard it here first. If the Eagles continue to create explosive plays for the guys around them, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, if those guys can do their part with Jalen Hurts at the helm, hey, listen, more explosive plays means more wins. Controlling the turnover ratio, winning the turnover battle means being in control of the game and winning more games. So you guys heard it here first. Make sure you guys continue to subscribe to the content. We appreciate all the love and support at Birds 365 and JAKIB Sports. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys turn on the notification bell as well. It allows you guys to know exactly whenever we go live, whenever we drop content, whenever there's a post, whenever JAKIB Sports makes a move, you'll know exactly whenever it happens with that notification bell on. So make sure you guys stay engaged in the content and also be on the lookout come September 11th when the season starts. The best post-game show in football, the JAKIB Sports post-game show with Mike Missinelli, Seth Joyner, Derek Gunn, and the lovely Devin Caney. Make sure you guys stay locked in on JAKIB Sports. More to come. You guys were locked in on Birds 365. He's John McMullen. I'm Tone DeShields II. I'm going to do my best Jody Mack impression. We'll see you guys in 2 and 2.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.